Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much.
I think to start off the day, we've got some really exciting conversations, and Oman has an incredibly exciting story to tell. I think we could all see that actually from the video earlier, and is brilliantly positioned for economic growth, very much inspired by Oman Vision 2024. So I thought it would be a good place to start to just ask you what your vision is and your kind of future goals.
Thank you very much again, and it's good to be here. I want to start with what Oman has been successful at and why. It's about our, we are a seafaring nation by nature, and we've been doing it successfully for thousands of years. The reason for this is the location. So it is still valid today to use our location, be it for logistics, be it for tourism, be it for any other activities that we can take advantage of. In fact, probably very little known fact, but Omani ships has been going to China for over 1,000 years. That is a long time. It is not also an easy task then. It is a much easier task now, and it is a much needed task as well for the growth. Today, we are at around 5% when it comes to logistics, in terms of the contribution to the GDP. We expect this to grow further. Now, if I talk about what is my short term as the person responsible for transport, communication, and IT in Oman, in the short to mid term, it is important that we sweat these assets that we've spoken about here. There is $26 billion that we've spent on this as a country. There are state-of-the-art, one of the top 10 in the world when it comes to roads, for example, 200 destinations weekly from our ports that can go and reach out to the world, about 80 to 90 destinations daily from the 5 airports, new airports in the country. So it is doing more of the same, but sweating it to the end. This is actually the goal that we should focus on for the next few years.
Yeah, I like it. Sounds fantastic. How, what would you say the impact is of your long-standing geopolitical neutrality, particularly around the economic growth opportunities?
You see, there is something special about our region, and that is clear to anybody within the region or outside the region. We, for some reason, are, find ourselves in trouble in the region, time and again. Oman managed to navigate this for a long time, and will manage to stay the same for the next, hundreds of years. That comes with responsibility, but it also comes with advantages. When you are in good terms with your neighbors, with the rest of the world, that helps you bring in investments, that helps you reaching out to countries that, unfortunately are in conflict with each other, that helps you as well bridge the gap between these two countries. And, in the process, you start also to make money. It's not the end goal, but it is something that you can do as a result of this. Today, Oman, for example, is a gateway to Yemen. Yemen is in trouble. One of our neighbors is in trouble. Having us next to them makes life easy for them. It makes life easy for trade. It makes life easy to others as well.
One area we touched on kind of logistics and the opportunity there, and some of this is obviously outlined in your Vision 2024, right through to 2040. Could you walk us through some of the ideation process around, again, the future opportunity around the logistics?
Well, we need to understand that our economy, for a short stint, 50 years is not a long time, has been dependent heavily on the exploration, production, and the value chain of oil and gas. I think going forward, and the plans of the country for Vision 2040 is to also work very hard on the diversification. There are 5 important sectors that we have, that the country decided to focus on, and we're going after. We're going after in our daily talks, in the policy making for the long term, but also in our relationships within the business community in the country, or relationships when it comes to the business community outside and the rest of the world. These 5 sectors are the logistics. Today it's at 5% roughly of the GDP. We expect it to be at more than 10% by 2040. And that's the goal for it. The fisheries, we've been a success because of our location. Again, it's just our proximity to the Indian Ocean, and it's not going to change. Fisheries is another focus area. Tourism, which is growing at a healthy pace, and there are the ingredients in the country for that. There is also a lot of work when it comes to manufacturing and value addition to commodities, goods, etc. And the country has probably, out of all of these sectors, this is the sector that received a lot of attention since the 80s, and successfully so. We've been able to transform the country slowly but surely there. And the 5th sector that we're also focusing on at the moment is the development of mining. So mining is the newcomer. The country has the potential, and there is a lot of effort happening from the Ministry of Energy and Mining in the country. A lot of what we did not know is getting to get known internally and outside the country. But there is also an overarching theme, if you like, that is slowly coming into picture, but rightfully so, and also important, and that is to go green and to help the rest of the world to go green. If you've been following the news recently, there is a lot of signatures when it comes to the production of hydrogen, for example, green hydrogen, and that is because of, again, it is the nature of the country, the intensity of wind, solar at the same location in many places, etc. The country has announced a very important target ahead of most countries in the region. 2050 is our target for carbon neutrality, and we are working on it surely in all the sectors. In the logistics part, our goal is to go zero by 2050, just as but to go fast when it comes to mobility, as especially land transportation. The program is moving fast. Recently, we've announced a whole host of incentives for the usage of EVs, for example. One of the, I guess it's even the only country in the region that have given these incentives: zero tax on buying these cars, zero on import as well, and zero on registration of these vehicles. It has increased the number of vehicles in the country from last year to this year by tenfolds, and we expect more. The charging stations, for example, is now we've announced happily last week that we have charging stations from the north to the south of the country, and that's growing as well. We're working on the marine side as well when it comes to offshore to shore power. When ships, there's no reason for ships to have their engines running if they are in a port. If you hook them up to clean electricity, that's also going to help, and many other things. But this green theme is going right across all of these diversifications sectors. In the logistics part, the focus is to play our role because of the location, to sweat these assets and to ensure that it brings fair, just, and good jobs to the country as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to, conscious of time, I'm going to just, I think the last question would just be to recap a little bit in terms of the work that you're doing with the energy transition, the work that you're doing in accelerating logistics, and certainly around the speed. What impact is that all having around FDI investment for the country, and how it becomes a hub for Oman?
You mean the green element of it?
Well, both what you're doing around green, but also the work that you're doing focused on logistics.
Right. So on logistics, there is a lot of movement in terms of investments. Naturally, there is a lot of work happening when it comes to the marine side. Oman has always been successful at that. 3 ports and these ports have one of them at least has the deepest draft in the region, and one of the deepest in the world. One of the other ports, which is also run through a foreign direct investment company, is the second most efficient port in the world in terms of handling, speed of turnaround, etc. And then, when you come to the ports, to the airports, there is a lot of work when it comes to the foreign direct investment as well, successfully, and we expect more of the same. When you come to the land transport, this is the area and the maritime affairs, which is a little bit different than actually running ports.
Right.
These are the two areas where we expect a lot of movement, a lot of change in the coming years. And this is because of the green element. This is also because of the potential of the country when it comes to these things. Now, if we just take one of these things and talk about the location of the country, the Strait of Hormuz, which at the moment, mostly is, it's overlooked by Oman, actually, or it's supervised, if you like, by Oman. There's 16,000 ships in and out every year. So that's 32,000 movements going in a very small stretch. We have not, tapped into this, but we are now setting the right policies that is, in line with the international law, but also that provides services for these users, the users of this strait. When you come to roads, there is a lot of development change when it comes to organizing the road sector, sweating it as well by ensuring that the road users gets the best service, but also have the most efficient and advanced operation in the region. If you look at the region today, this sector, for example, is not as organized as it should be. There isn't a lot of opportunities for triangulation that is done through science and through, so we're adding things there that are important, AI, etc., that will help also organize this better. And we're throwing the green element as well. So in terms of the light vehicles, which does, so the road transport does about 18% of the emissions in Oman. About 60% of that is EVs. So first we're attending to EVs. Next is the trucks, and we're doing a lot of work there. We've auctioned to the international market recently a monitoring system for the trucks in Oman that is live, that uses AI for the purpose of first making this use more efficient, also ensuring that there is not a lot of waste when it comes to carbon emissions, etc., but also to ensure that the environment for truckers and the environment for the community that does trucking is the right one and the most competitive compared to the region. So a lot of work there.
Lots of work.
Yes.
Well, I think it's a very exciting story, some great opportunity, and I'd like to thank you, Your Excellency, for joining us. Great conversation. Thank you, everyone.